All right, today we're finally going to settle one of the biggest debates in the gym. For building a massive, wide back, what's better? The raw power of the deadlift or the targeted precision of the lat pull-down? And I'm telling you, the answer is probably going to shock you, and it's definitely going to change how you train your back forever.
You know the look we're all chasing, right? That classic V-taper, a back so wide it makes doorways look small. But here's a crazy thought. What if the one exercise everyone swears by for building that back is actually one of the worst tools for the job? Yeah, let's get into it.
Okay, so let's set the stage for this big showdown.
So in one corner, we've got the absolute legend, the beast, the deadlift. It's hailed as the king of lifts, the one-stop shop for raw, brute strength. And in the other corner, you've got the specialist, the lat pull-down. This is the exercise literally designed to target your lats and build that width. It's a classic for a reason. So the big question is, which one actually builds the lats?
Now to figure this out, we can't just rely on gym lore or how an exercise feels. We need to dig into the actual science of how muscles grow. And it really boils down to two key principles.
Okay, first up, and this is the big one, is something called dynamic contraction. Think of your muscle like a powerful piston in an engine. It has to forcefully shorten to move the weight, that's the concentric part, and then it has to control that weight as it lengthens, the eccentric part. That whole cycle, that push and pull under load, is a massive trigger for muscle growth.
And the second piece of the puzzle is something called stretch-mediated hypertrophy. This is super interesting. Basically, the latest science is showing us that putting a muscle under tension when it's fully stretched, think about the very bottom of a dumbbell curl. That position sends an incredibly strong signal for it to grow bigger and even longer. So that loaded stretch, it's like growth hacking for your muscles.
Okay, so now we have our rules, right? We need dynamic contraction, and we need a good loaded stretch. With that in mind, let's put the so-called king of lifts under the microscope. What are your lats really doing during a deadlift?
And here it is, the first huge plot twist. See, during a deadlift, your lats aren't actually lifting the weight. They're not doing that piston thing we talked about. Their job is to fire up and hold everything super tight, what's called an isometric contraction. They're basically clamping down to keep that barbell from drifting away from you and to keep your spine stable. So they're not the engine, they're more like the parking brake.
And that's the absolute key takeaway right there. When it comes to your lats, the deadlift has zero dynamic contraction. They're not shortening, they're not lengthening, they're just holding on for dear life.
And look, you don't have to take my word for it. The data is just, well, it's brutal. When scientists hook people up to EMG machines to measure muscle electricity, the difference is just staggering. With a lat pull-down, you can hit 100% peak activation in your lats. But a heavy deadlift, you're only getting about 20 to 30%. I mean, it's not even in the same league.
And to really hammer this home, check this out. Biomechanical studies actually calculated how much force the lats contribute to lifting the weight in a deadlift. The number was just 6.3 newtons. What does that even mean? Well, it's about the same amount of force you need to pick up a can of soda. Seriously.
I mean, the researchers themselves called the lats contribution negligibly small. That's scientists speak for basically nothing. So that insane pump you feel across your entire back after a heavy set of deads? Sorry to break it to you, but that's almost all your spinal erectors and your traps doing the heavy lifting, not your lats.
And it gets worse. There's a hidden cost to deadlifting for your lats. Deadlifts absolutely torch your central nervous system. They create this massive, full-body fatigue that can completely wreck the rest of your workout. You end up too gassed to actually hit the exercises that do grow your lats effectively.
Okay, so if the deadlift has been dethroned, who's the rightful heir? Well, let's turn our attention to the humble lat pull-down and see why it's the real king of lat growth.
Let's bring it back to our two golden rules of hypertrophy. The deadlift, for lats, it fails on both counts. No dynamic contraction and no meaningful loaded stretch. But the lat pull-down, it's a perfect score. You get a full, powerful dynamic contraction on every single rep. And at the very top of the movement, you get maximum load in that fully stretched position. It literally checks every single box. And when you stack it up against other popular back movements, it's clear why the pull-down is so special. Look at this. The pull-down gives you crazy high lat activation, but with very little help from your biceps and almost no load on your spine. It's pure isolation. It makes the lats the star of the show, the prime mover. Now look at the deadlift. Low lat activation, but an insane load on your spinal erectors. And the lats? They're just stabilizers. It's a totally different job. Okay, so we know the pull-down is king, but how do we make it even better? Well, the research actually gives us a perfect recipe. First, use a medium-wide grip, about 1.5 times your shoulder width. That's the sweet spot. Make it an overhand grip, and please, pull to the front of your chest, not behind your neck. It's safer and way more effective. But here's the real magic. Control the negative. Take a full 2 to 3 seconds on the way up. That's how you maximize that loaded stretch and tap into that incredible growth signal we talked about earlier.
All right, so we've torn down the old way of thinking. Now what do we build in its place? What does this actually mean for you on your next back day? Let's lay out a simple, smarter plan.
First things first, let's be super clear here. This is not about saying the deadlift is a bad exercise. It's not. The deadlift is a phenomenal movement for building raw, total body strength, for forging a powerful posterior chain, and for getting those thick spinal erectors. It's the wrong tool for the specific job of building wide lats.
So here's your new game plan. It's a simple 3-step strategy. Step 1, prioritize your pull-downs in rows. Make these the absolute core of your back workouts. You want to be aiming for about 10 to 15 direct, hard sets per week. Step 2, reposition your deadlifts. Stop thinking of it as a lat exercise. Treat it for what it is, a total body strength builder. Put it on leg day. And step 3, and this is crucial, train smarter. Do your pull-downs in rows at the beginning of your workout when you're fresh and strong. This lets you put the maximum load and focus right where it matters, on your lats.
So the next time you walk into the gym, just ask yourself this one simple question. Am I just here to lift heavy, or am I here to actually grow? Because when it comes to building that wide V-taper back, the science couldn't be clearer. The targeted precision of the lat pull-down crushes the brute force of the deadlift every single time. Hey, if this breakdown cleared things up for you, hit that like button and definitely share this with a buddy who still swears that deadlifts are the only way to build a big back. Let's spread the word.